In 2012, a prisoner escaped from jail using ketchup. Every day, he saved his portion from the prison cafeteria, even stealing extra from other inmates. He combined it with other ingredients until he created a powerful acid, which he applied to the steel bars of his cell. The acidity was so strong that it gradually corroded the metal, weakening the bars little by little. And after 6 months, the prisoner was able to bend them with ease. He jumped down through the window while the guards were distracted and hid inside a supply truck, finally escaping. But a few days later, they found him hiding in the trash, and they stopped handing out ketchup in the prison food.
A man was buried in a grave with a glass panel placed right above his face. For years, people could walk right up to his grave and look 2 meters underground, seeing his face through the window. He did this because he had a deep fear of being buried alive. And to be safe, he also installed a bell connected to a rope, just in case he needed to signal that he was still alive. But little by little, dirt and moisture gradually covered the entire glass, hiding both the man and his fears forever.
How to always win at Uno. Never play a +2 or a +4 at the beginning of the game. It's very likely your opponent will have another +2 and you'll end up drawing 6 cards. If a player only has 2 cards left, talk to them about something interesting. When it's their turn, they'll be distracted by the conversation and forget to say Uno. On the other hand, if you have 2 cards left and one is a color change card, never choose the color of your last card, because the other players will do everything they can to change it again. Finally, if the player to your right only has 1 card left and no one can change the color, pretend to drop your cards on the table. All the other players will see your cards, but they'll also figure out which number you need to change the color. If you're in danger, do this to call for help. First, make the universal signal for distress. Raise your hand with the palm facing out, fold your thumb across your palm, and repeatedly close your fingers over your thumb. This signal was created for women to ask for help in cases of abuse, but nowadays all police recognize it as a common sign of distress. Second, many restaurants and bars have a secret code to ask for help. If you say angel shot, it means you need help getting to your car. Angel shot spicy means that you need an Uber, and angel shot with lime means you need police assistance. Lastly, if you can't move, use the rule of 3 repetitions to call for help. Make 3 quick flashes or 3 knocks on the table to signal an SOS emergency rescue. If you empty a giant packet of Orbeez into the ocean, most people think it would turn into a giant sea of Orbeez. But a single packet of Orbeez can only absorb about 2 cups of water, and the ocean contains 1,300 quintillion liters. So your packet of Orbeez would need to be 1,000 kilometers tall to turn the ocean into a sea of Orbeez. And even if you managed to pour all the Orbeez into the ocean, you would need a spoon the same size as the moon. If you're at a party and you feel like something has stung or pricked you, get out of there as fast as you can. Someone might have injected you with a drug to make you lose consciousness. If you're in the bathroom and you drop your phone into the toilet, don't try to put it in rice to absorb the water. It's a myth that doesn't work, and the rice could get stuck inside the phone. If you're the mother of a newborn baby, never take him to a public hospital. Other poor and sick patients might try to attack you out of jealousy. If you need to get an MRI, do not enter the room with metal objects. The machine has a super magnet that will attract them with massive force.
If you come across a wolf, shout and fight against it. Wolves only attack while in packs, and if you hit it, he'll get scared. If you're very sick, get up and go out to play sport. If you sweat a lot of liquid, you'll expel the virus from your body. If your father calls you on the phone, but he only wants to ask you for money, turn on airplane mode. He'll think you don't have coverage and will stop calling you. If you're lost on a completely desert island, but you're an idiot and don't know how to make fire, fish for raw fish and make sushi. First, remove all the bacteria, and then eat it very carefully.
If you're lost on the street and you see a lot of kids asking for money, run away as fast as possible. It is an old trick used by criminals to steal from you. If you're an idiot and sleep with your phone, be careful. If it gets too hot, it will cause a big explosion and burn your house. If you have leeches sucking on your body, don't take them off. They'll vomit on the wound and you'll die from diseases. If you're on a bike and you're about to fall, freeze and do absolutely nothing. The bike will keep going straight by itself due to the speed.
In 2009, a man fell behind the refrigerator units of the supermarket where he worked. He was completely trapped, but the cries for help were silenced by the loud noise made by the freezers. Days, weeks, and even months passed by with no clue about him. It wasn't until 10 years later, while some builders were remodeling the abandoned supermarket, they moved all the refrigerators and found the man's remaining bones. They were next to several scratches on the walls and blood and pieces of nail.
If the teacher asks a question to the whole class and you don't know the answer, don't avoid eye contact. They will think you're distracted and will ask you. If you're on vacation and someone offers you a free boat trip, do not get on the boat. It's a scam to take you to an abandoned island and ask you for a lot of money to return. If you're in a public bathroom and there's no toilet paper, sacrifice one of your socks. It's better to lose a sock than to be a smelly slob. If you go to a concert and a stranger offers you a cheaper ticket, don't buy it. It's a fake ticket and they won't let you in. If you took out one of your bones and somehow molded it into a cube of this size, most people think that the weight of a car could completely crush the cube. But human bones are actually made of a mix of minerals and a very tough protein called collagen. And this makes them so strong that a single cubic centimeter can support the weight of nearly 5 high-end sports cars.
How to detect a friend with depression. Ask your friends how they are doing. A person with depression always tells you he is okay, even if he's sad. If you're suspicious of a friend, create a music playlist with him. There's a good chance he'll only add sad music for crying. On the other hand, if a friend is ghosting you and doesn't reply to your messages or show up when you meet, rush to his home because he might be in trouble. Finally, even though the silliest person in the group seems fine, he might be masking his depression. Remember, not everything is what it seems.
A fan threw an object that looked like a realistic rubber bat on stage during a rock concert. And on impulse, the singer Ozzy Osbourne picked it up and took a bite, believing it was a toy. But to his shock, the bat was actually real. When he pulled his head off with his teeth, he realized he had made a serious mistake as the bat's blood began entering his mouth. They urgently took him to the nearest hospital right after the concert ended so they could inject the vaccine against rabies. If you see money falling from a building, don't try to pick it up and get out of there as soon as possible. It's a common trick used by terrorists to bring many people together in one place. If your drink smells like cinnamon, don't drink it. It's very possible that it's been poisoned. If you're in a forest and you don't have anything to eat, find yellow dandelions. They are 100% edible. If you're stuck inside a free-falling elevator, lie on your back and cover your face. If you see a bunch of white hairs on your banana, don't eat it. It's a spider's nest. If the air starts to smell like chlorine during a storm, it means lightning is going to strike very close at any moment. If you're eating fruit and it tastes like hair, there's a good chance you're allergic.
Why does school feel like a prison? First, they take you on a very big bus packed with people, and they check you in with a uniform as soon as you arrive. Then you have to wait in a small room while they watch you constantly until you finish all your assigned tasks. The food at school is just as bad as prison food. They split you into groups and you have to ask to go to the bathroom. But if you talk back, you get punished. Then they detain you so you can speak with the highest authority. Plus, you only get 15 minutes of recess to play soccer. As if that weren't enough, most schools are built by the same companies that build prisons. So it's no surprise most schools feel like a prison. Some kids started throwing rocks off a cliff, but what they didn't know was that a professional climber was making his way up the mountain. He was about to reach the top when one of the rocks, about the size of a bowling ball, struck him violently right on the head. His climbing partner tried to help him and save his life, but realized there was nothing he could do. The kid who threw the rock confessed to his crime, but despite the killing, no one pressed charges against the boy. If you're going down a water slide and you see a nail in the way, try your hardest to dodge it. If you hit it at full speed, you'll look ridiculous. If you're about to drive but you're dangerously tired, don't try to turn the music up to stay awake. Your brain will turn off anyway and you could have an accident. If you run into someone who's wanted by the police, do not panic and don't make eye contact. Just act normal while you secretly call 911. If you're being chased by a killer and need to escape without being seen, walk backward to leave reverse footprint. That'll confuse the killer and you'll fool him. Inside the killer's teapot, there are two chambers. One is filled with tea and the other with poison. If you cover the hole from the poison chamber, you will block the airflow, causing the poison not to be released, and only the tea will pour into the cup. But if you cover the hole from the tea chamber, only the poison will be able to pour into your enemy's cup. By covering both holes, no liquid will come out of the teapot. And if you don't cover either, both liquids will mix as they pour. This is Mike the chicken, and if you're wondering where his head is, let me explain. When Mike's owner was trying to kill this chicken, the axe he was using failed to fully cut off its head, and the chicken's brain remained perfectly intact. This allowed Mike the chicken to survive without a head for over a year and a half. They took care of him and kept him alive, feeding him through a straw, while cleaning the mucus from his neck so he could breathe. This made Mike the chicken become very popular. He even went on a world tour with his owner. The only reason he died a year later was because they forgot to clean his neck, causing him to tragically choke. If you get inside a fridge during a nuclear explosion, most people believe it will protect you from the blast. But is that true? Look, a fridge can slightly reduce the initial heat and radiation, but if you're even a little close to the explosion, the force of the blast wave would be so strong that the refrigerator would be violently thrown, causing serious injuries or death. Unethical ways to make money. Search on Google for old folk homes with dementia and apply for an assistant job. When you get hired, do your tasks like bringing their food, putting on movies and giving them their medicine. But at the end of the day, you have to create a video with artificial intelligence where you and one of the old people with Alzheimer's do things together, like celebrating birthdays, going fishing, or even crying together at a fake family member's funeral. Since the elderly don't know what AI is, they'll think that you're their nephew. If you show them these videos every day, they'll end up including you in their will, and when they die, you'll inherit all their money. A man was quickly sucked up by a giant dryer and he became stuck. He was working for an industrial laundry, and the man, while trying to unclog the path that transports clothes to the machine, climbed up to press the stuck clothes and push them through. But he got tangled with a sleeve of a t-shirt, and no one could hear his terrifying screams for help. The temperature rose to over 300 degrees Celsius, and 20 minutes later, his co-workers found his body on the floor.
3 ships, armed with over 80 cannons, aimed at a military port. The captain had hostages to trade for medicine for his crew, but Blackbeard was so feared that he didn't even have to fight. It was said that he set his hair on fire to look like a demon covered in smoke, and sometimes he even challenged his crew to mix gunpowder into their drinks. And even though many of his sailors had various illnesses, he always treated them with respect. In his final battle, he fought against an army sent to kill him. It took 12 stab wounds and 5 gunshots to take him down. His head was cut off and placed on the front of the enemy ship, and they fired at his ship until it sank into the deep sea. A boy jumped into fresh cement to win a bet with his friends, but the cement mixer broke down and poured a huge amount of cement, covering him up to his chest. The construction workers tried to help him, but the cement started to harden quickly, making it impossible for him to move his arms and legs. The firefighters worked for hours and used saws and hammers to free him. After 5 hours, they managed to cut through the block and rushed him to the hospital. While the boy was being treated, they discovered that he had burns on his skin caused by the chemicals in the cement. The doctors applied bandages with ointment, used small tools, and took their time to remove the remaining pieces. In the end, the boy survived and made better friends.
This is what happens when you go to prison in other countries. In Russia, the first thing they do is take your clothes and wash you to prevent any bacteria from entering the prison. Once you're clean, they give you a new set of clothes, and you're forced to do a quarantine for 15 days. But in Japan, prisoners are converted into slaves and are forced to work. Their day starts at 6 o'clock in the morning and ends at 9 o'clock at night. This schedule includes 9 hours of work, 3 meals, and 3 hours of free time. But that's nothing like prisons in Norway, where they have access to a private bathroom, a plasma TV, and a window with beautiful views. Also, the guards allow you to wear your own clothes and receive 3 weekly visits from friends and family. A dog sat on top of a fully loaded shotgun in the back seat of a van and accidentally pulled the trigger. The bullet went through the driver's seat and pierced the man's back, breaking several ribs and puncturing a hole in his lung. He managed to call an ambulance and was taken to the hospital, where he recovered. The dog was sent to a shelter but ended up returning to its owner. But tragically, the dog was killed a few weeks later in a mysterious accident.
The parents of your poor friend invite you to dinner at their house. Do this so you don't look ridiculous. Put on basic clothes, put away your fancy items, and hide your iPhone so it doesn't get robbed before you arrive. If the house is in bad shape, don't say anything. It is very likely they don't have money to repair it. One more thing, don't make any complaints about the food. You have to eat all of it, even if you don't like it. Make an effort to be part of the conversations, but don't try to make jokes about money or mention the new sports car that your dad bought last week. If they make noise while eating, just let it go. But above all else, don't dare to ask why there is no dessert, because it might hurt their feelings. Finally, when you're all done with your food, help by cleaning the table, to wash the dishes, and subscribe to Big Dan Baby.
If you think a passenger is going to hijack your plane, this is what you need to do. First, make sure you're not just being paranoid. Is the passenger sweating? Maybe he's just hot. Is he rude and using swear words? He might just be nervous flying for the first time on a plane. But if he's doing all of that while looking suspiciously at the flight attendant, you've probably discovered a terrorist. First, press the call button and alert the flight attendant about the hijacker's suspicious behavior. If the terrorist notices you, don't try to confront him verbally or physically. Instead, stay calm and listen to the flight attendant. They are trained to defuse situations on the plane and use tools to eliminate any threat. Also, the pilots are trained to lock the cockpit door and not open it for anyone under any circumstances. If everything goes silent and many animals start running around aimlessly, it means an earthquake is about to start. If a car lightly bumps into your trunk, don't stop to talk to the driver. They could be criminals that hit you on purpose to rob all your money. If you get offered a perfume sample on the street, cover your nose and don't breathe. It's actually chloroform meant to knock you out and kidnap you without drawing attention. If your house starts smelling like rotten eggs for no reason, turn off all the flames in your house. There's a gas leak, and if you use a lighter, you'll blow into smithereens. This donut has 15 grams of sugar, but this apple has 30. So why is the apple healthier than the donut? When you eat a donut, the refined sugars go into your bloodstream, causing a spike in your blood sugar levels. Your body responds by producing a lot of insulin to lower the glucose, but this leads to a sugar crash and you'll end up craving even more sugar. Consequences? Acne, weight gain, and heart problems. On the other hand, when eating an apple, you're consuming sugar but with natural fibers, which slow down how much sugar reaches your bloodstream, keeping your blood sugar levels stable. If you show your house to your new girlfriend, don't try to hide your true passion. She might think you're a weirdo, but you might also find the love of your life. If you're sentenced to prison but the judge wants a lot of money in exchange for your freedom, don't ever pay him. It could be an honesty test to trick you into looking corrupt. If you get a fish hook stuck in your finger, don't try to pull it out by tugging it backward. Instead, push it through and past the barb with some pliers. If you have to sleep in the cold snow, look for a dead animal and sleep inside its body. Even if it's disgusting, you won't die from the cold during the night. How to always win at Jenga. Never start from the bottom. It's very likely that your opponents will do the same, and you'll knock over the tower on your turn. Don't remove the center pieces at the beginning of the game either. You'll be left with no options in the final turn. If a player has a difficult piece, make them laugh so they move, or let out a loud scream. They'll jump in surprise. On the other hand, if the tower has a few pieces in the middle, look for a block just below the weak spot. It's the most stable point and will come out easily. Finally, if you have a tricky block, hold your breath and push instead of pulling. If you push steadily, all the pieces will come out. Have you ever wondered why the spoon on the McFlurry has that shape? Well, a lot of people think it's a secret straw, but just trying it once is enough to see it doesn't work. The real reason for that shape is actually quite clever. You see, McDonald's didn't want to clean their machines every time they made a McFlurry, so they created a spoon that works as a mixer. If you're lost in the ocean, don't drink seawater. You will vomit and dehydrate. If you're lost in the mountains, look for plants and hide in a cave. If you make a fire, you won't freeze during the night. If you're a loser and you get bullied, make friends with a hobo. Homeless people are crazy and he'll defend you from the bully. If you're in a place you don't know and no one's using their phone, don't be an idiot and hide your phone. You're in a dangerous neighborhood and thieves will rob you.
You suddenly travel back in time to ancient Rome. Do this to survive. First, if you try to live a normal life, everyone will realize you don't speak Latin and don't know how to behave like them. They would think you are crazy and would want to burn you at the stake. So you will choose someone from the crowd and challenge him to a duel to the death in the Colosseum. One day before the duel, you will grab a few ingredients and make a favorite food recipe. Easy, but extremely tasty for that time. When the time comes, you take out the dish and offer it to your rival. Since he will love the food, he will offer it to the bar boss. In this way, the Caesar will spare your life and you will be the new Caesar.
If you get off the subway but your backpack gets stuck in the door, don't waste time trying to pull it out. Focus on slipping out of the backpack or you'll be dragged to death. If you're at the movies and a thief is recording the film, don't yell at him. Instead, on your phone, show his seat number. That way, the thief's number will be recorded and the police can arrest him. If you're getting a haircut and feel a sneeze coming, be careful and don't move. If you make a sudden move, they could cut one of your ears. If you're buying a suit for your wedding, tell the salesperson that the suit is to work as a waiter and not for your wedding. It'll be cheaper because it isn't a wedding suit. If you're lost in the mountain, look for plants and hide in a cave. If you start a fire, you won't freeze to death during the night. If you're going to school but you live in a dangerous neighborhood, put your book bag inside your shirt. Thieves will think you're fat and they won't rob you. If you're stupid and you're vegan, don't go to a barbecue with your friend. You won't be able to eat and you'll look ridiculous. If you're dying of thirst and find dirty water, look for bamboo sticks. If you filter the water through the hole of the canes, you'll have clean water.
If you live in a dangerous neighborhood, wear poor-looking clothes that are as dirty as possible. You will make the thieves pity you, and they won't rob you. If someone is looking at your phone, open the front camera. The nosy guy will see himself on the screen and will look ridiculous. If a murderer enters your house, turn off the lights and put a couple of pillows under the blanket. The murderer will think that you're sleeping, and you will catch him. If you see that your car has a broken window, don't go in and call the police. There is a homeless person living inside your car. If your dad drank too much, find a place to hide the car keys. If he tries to drive, he'll end up dying in a crash. If you're lost in the desert and manage to find water, use a fire to make it boil. The fire will destroy all the bacteria and it will turn into drinking water. If you have a test but you didn't prepare, stay away from coffee or energy drinks. You will be awake the whole night and you will fall asleep during the test. If you have to cross a completely frozen river, lay on the ice and move like a worm. If you sprint across the ice, it will break and you will freeze to death.
You drop your wallet and someone steals your credit card. Here's what you do. When you realize your card is missing, you open your banking app and block it. But it's too late. The thief has already bought an iPhone, a Rolex, and a Big Mac. You rush to find your latest credit card statement and call your provider. You report the loss and ask them to deactivate the card. But what happens to the purchases that were already made? Luckily, they offer zero liability, meaning you won't have to pay for what the thief bought, and it won't affect your personal credit. Once you get a new card, update your payment method, you stop carrying all your cards with you, and you subscribe to BigDanBaby. You're on your way to school, but a thief tries to rob you. Do this to outsmart him. As you walk past the thief, check his pockets discreetly. It's very likely he's carrying a hidden weapon. On the other hand, if he pulls out a knife, don't resist. Your life is more important than a stupid phone. But what if you're carrying very valuable objects? Grab your phone and smash it on the ground. If you manage to confuse the thief, you'll buy time and be able to run. Run without looking back, go into the closest store and call the police. Then check the security cameras and report the robbery to the police, and subscribe to BigDanBaby. If you're about to fall from a great height, try jumping instead of falling to land on your feet. You'll probably break your legs, but at least you'll survive. If you're in a forest during a lightning storm, never hide under a tree. Lightning usually strikes structures that are tall and pointy. If your neighbors have been robbed and you're afraid of burglars, place a bottle in front of the door. When they enter, the bottle will break and the burglars will run away. If you nearly drowned but managed to survive, go to the doctor anyway. It's very likely you still have water in your lungs and end up drowning later. These are the 3 craziest laws in North Korea. Number 1, it's illegal to smile or laugh during the 17th of December, because that day is the anniversary of the death of North Korea's former leader. For 10 days, it is forbidden to laugh, drink alcohol, or even go shopping. If you're caught, you will most likely disappear mysteriously. Number 2, it's also forbidden to wear jeans, sunglasses, and even wedding dresses, because they believe it's a symbol of the culture of the United States. If you're caught wearing any of these, you could go to prison for over 5 years. But the worst part is, number 3, if you break the law in North Korea, your entire family will be punished for 3 generations. That means you'll go to jail, but so will your parents and grandparents.
If you're very lost on the street and you see many kids asking for money, run far away as fast as possible. It is an old trick used by criminals to steal from you. If you're an idiot and sleep with your phone, be careful. If it gets too hot, it will explode like fire and burn your whole house. If you have leeches sucking on your body, don't take them off. They'll vomit on the wound and you'll die from diseases. If you're on a bike and you're going to fall, freeze and do absolutely nothing. The bike will keep going straight by itself due to the speed.
If a friend is lying to you, ask him a lot of questions about what he is explaining. If he starts to scratch his head, he is lying. If you're lost in the woods, quickly look for a river to bathe in. Bad smells attract bears and they'll eat you. If you get kidnapped, pee on yourself constantly. The kidnappers will get tired of the bad smell and they will free you. If you're stuck on a broken down train, break the windows using the emergency hammer. On the train, there are a lot of sick people breathing and they will contaminate you. If you're stupid and bite your tongue while eating spicy food, run to drink lots of water. The spices burn the wound and you could lose your tongue. If you see a lot of graffiti in the same color, get out of there fast. You've entered a dangerous area controlled by a criminal gang. If a thief tries to rob you, throw your belongings as far as possible. Thieves are usually idiots and he'll forget about you. If you're gross and wet your pants while peeing, splash more water on them. People will think you just got wet while washing your hands.
How to become invisible. Go to the supermarket and buy a lot of super glue. Go back home and pour the super glue on the floor. Cover all of your body with super glue until you are completely sticky. Find a trash can and stick some trash onto yourself. This will attract flies and they'll stick to your body. Now, go into the jungle and stay there for about 3 hours. All the chameleons will get closer and they'll try to eat the flies. Since their tongues will get stuck to the super glue, you'll end up covered in chameleons. Now you'll have your own active camouflage suit and you will become totally invisible.
If you see red mushrooms in the woods, closely inspect them to see if they look like umbrellas. Even if Super Mario eats them and grows bigger, you'll get killed by the poison and die. If someone tries to choke you using a plastic bag, do not breathe and exhale all the air at once to inflate the bag. If you bite it, it will pop like a balloon and you'll be able to breathe. If you are starving to death, look for trees with soft and moist leaves. If you suck on them, you'll gain energy, but they won't kill you. If you've been kidnapped, start peeing on yourself. The kidnappers will get tired of the bad smell and they'll set you free.
3 absurd ways people used to escape from prison. First, Yoshi Shitori is a man who escaped from prison using only the food they gave him. Every night the guards gave him the same dinner: rice, vegetables, and salty soup. He ate everything but the soup, and instead of throwing it away, he poured it over his shackles, and they slowly rusted over time. One day, he managed to break the chains and escaped. Second, Calvinho da Silva. This man tried to escape by disguising himself as his own daughter. In 2019, she did not go to visit him in prison, and everything seemed very normal, but Calvinho put on his daughter's clothes, a wig, and tried to walk out the main door, but the guards noticed and he didn't get very far.
If you get kidnapped by a group of terrorists, hide your designer clothes and luxury items. If they find out you're a rich kid, they'll demand a large ransom from your family. If you live in a dangerous neighborhood, always carry 2 phones on you. If you get robbed, you can give them the fake one, and the thief will look ridiculous. If you want to sneeze, do not hold your nose. The air in your lungs is so strong that it could break your bone. If you're dumb and have a lot of tattoos, cover them before entering a dangerous neighborhood. Criminals might mistake you for a rival gang member and you'll die. Abandoned in the cold, she crawled into a doghouse looking for warmth and ended up living there for 5 years. During that time, she learned to bark, growl, and walk on all fours, just like her canine companion. When they tried to rescue her, the girl had lost the ability to speak, and she ate like a dog. She licked herself and even breathed with her tongue out. The authorities had many difficulties rescuing her because the dogs protected her fiercely, but in the end, they distracted them using food as bait. They tried to reintegrate her into society, but she kept acting like a dog. If you give such a bad presentation that you think you're going to fail, end by saying it was an experiment about the most common mistakes students make. The teacher will think it was very realistic and give you a perfect grade. If you arrive late to class but don't have an excuse, say that a distant aunt has died. The teacher will feel sorry for you and let you in without asking questions. If you want your parents to stop looking at your phone, learn a second language and change the language on your phone. Even if your parents spy on you, they won't understand anything. If your rich friend's parents invite you to a fancy restaurant but you don't know what to order, tell the waiter to bring you the house specialty. Even if you don't like it, you'll sound very elegant.
A man pulled out a small gun and aimed it at the back of Abraham Lincoln's head, but he waited until there was a lot of noise in the theater before pulling the trigger. After shooting, he jumped down, breaking his leg as he landed, but even with his wound, he got away from the theater on a horse. While he was being chased by hundreds of people, he stayed hidden for over 12 days until he was discovered and murdered on a farm.
A woman on her bike was crossing a drawbridge when suddenly it started moving to open. As the gap widened, she became trapped between the sections. She clung onto a street lamp while she called for help, but the bridge kept moving. One man rushed to grab her, but couldn't hold on because he was too overweight. Finally, her hand slipped and she fell into the hole to her death. The operator of the bridge later confessed that he hadn't checked the walkway before raising the bridge. If a bull starts chasing you, most people would try to run away, but bulls can run much faster than humans in a straight line. Instead, jump to one side to get out of the bull's path. If it keeps attacking, try running in a zigzag to confuse it. If you find a big object like a tree, use it as a shield between you and the bull. If it hits you with its horns, stay completely still on the ground without moving. Bulls usually chase movement, so consequently, playing dead can help the bull get bored of you. If you feel like you're about to faint, clench your fist tightly and squeeze hard. That forces blood to circulate through your body and you won't faint. Never try to repair a microwave by yourself. Even if it's unplugged, your microwave can still hold enough radiation to kill you. If you're at a party and the ice in your drink isn't floating, get out of there fast. Someone has spiked your drink and you're in danger. If you see black spots on the wall of your house, call the fire department. It's a toxic mold and the spores could kill you. You work at McDonald's to save money, but the government takes a portion of your salary. How do taxes work? Each month, you earn $800, but your boss doesn't give you $800. He gives you $700 in a paycheck, and he pays the government $100 in taxes in your name. When the year ends, the government checks if you've paid enough taxes using a form. In it, you can claim deductions to reduce the percentage of taxes, and request credits that directly lower your taxes. If your boss paid too much in your name, the government gives you extra money back. If your boss paid too little, the government makes you pay the remaining amount.
If you're an idiot and fall asleep on the bus, hug your backpack while you sleep. Thieves won't be able to steal from you. If you're walking down the street and a thief tries to rob you, act crazy and shout words in Chinese very loudly. If the thief thinks you're completely insane, he'll get the fright of his life. If you wake up and your mouth is full of drool, throw your toothpaste in the trash. Your toothpaste has too much fluoride and it has burned your throat. If you walk into your house and there are thieves stealing, lock the door completely and burn the house. If the thieves escape, the police will only need to look for suspects with burns on their skin. If you accidentally break a beehive, try whistling really loudly. They'll think you're their friend and won't sting you.